Hey guys, it's Kip from Famous by Friday Pickleball. Got a brand new paddle to review, the new Selkirk LUXX Invikta. Man, this paddle's pretty. This paddle should look a little familiar. It shares a lot of structural components with the Project 003 Invikta. It is 16.5 inches long, 7 3/8 inches wide. It has a 5 1/4 inch grip with a 4 1/4 inch circumference. Both of these paddles are 20 millimeters thick. They both have a 20 millimeter polymer core. They both have an aerodynamic throat, both have throat flex, both have ProSpin next gen texture, both have 360-degree photo molding, Dura Edge edgeless tech, foam flex perimeter, anti-torque tech. They both are very similar. The one thing that I found that these two paddles have a difference. The Project 003 had a fiberglass carbon composite face. The new Selkirk LUXX Invikta has what Selkirk calls a Florec carbon fiber face. So it's a totally new face. I'm anxious to see how that plays, if it spins. And the 003 is a very cool paddle, so I'm excited to see how this paddle does. I will say one thing, when you squeeze the Project 003, you can actually feel it flex in a little bit, whereas the Selkirk LUXX Invikta, it didn't squeeze in as much. So I'm wondering if it's going to be as soft. The 003 was very soft. I wonder if the LUXX is going to be as soft. I think it probably will be. I wonder if it'll have the same components and the same kind of game. All right, ready to head out to the courts now. I hope you're out there. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to want to hit this. The new Selkirk LUXX Invikta. This is Jack Sock's new paddle, and you're seeing it more and more on the tour. Very cool. All right, head to the courts now. Hope you're going to be there. All right, I'll be back. Selkirk LUXX. Really nice feel to this paddle. You don't really have to do a lot. I am kind of going against the wind though, so I'm swinging a little bit harder than normal. It's there. Man, I tell you, if you take your time and really go after, almost the slower you swing with this paddle, it does better things. Yeah, that's really nice. All right, little spin here. Selkirk LUXX spin, okay? Ooh, not great spin. It's got a little nice spin at the end though. Yeah, not great spin. So I feel like the 003 grabs the ball and there's more dwell time. This paddle doesn't have as much dwell time. That's a good shot, but it just doesn't have, it wasn't turning that much. Yeah, you can see it there. You can see it in the, it just doesn't have great spin, but it is tremendously accurate just on. Hey guys, I'm back. Just spent the last couple of weeks with the new Selkirk LUXX Control Air. This paddle is very cool, it does a lot of things well. I'm going to kind of bounce through the attributes. The very first thing though, I'm really, people see this paddle, I'm going to go just pure looks. This paddle is great. People see this from courts away. They came over, they wanted to hit with it, they saw it immediately. I applaud Selkirk for going with a little something different. I've seen the blue version, I've seen the red. They are both very pretty. I haven't seen the gold yet, but people can see these from courts away. It looks really pretty, and that's just a cool thing because so many, as we know, so many of the paddles that are coming out now are the, you know, the Generation 2 thermoform paddle, and they've all got just the black carbon face. They're hard to tell from courts away, and Selkirk did a great job on that. So let's go to the performance attributes of this and what it does well and the caveat that goes along with it. This paddle, as we know, I don't care whether you come from a tennis background, golf background, whatever. If you go pure control, you're going to lose a little power. If you go pure power, you're going to lose a little control. Well, this is the LUXX Control Air. So you lose a little bit of power, but it is very consistent, very accurate, great sweet spot. The feedback, it's got a nice feel. It's got a nice sound to it. It's evenly balanced, so you kind of adjust the weight on it a little bit or play with it, whatever you want to do. This is just a cool paddle, and it really shines when you're up at the net with angles, dinking, push dinks, lift dinks, speed ups, lobs. This paddle does it. I mean, you can just really trust it when you're up at the kitchen line and the things it does up there. It is really nice. You can dink all day with this paddle. It is beautiful. It does so well up there. But that's where it shines. The further you move back from the kitchen line, the closer you get to the baseline, this paddle loses a little bit. With this paddle, you almost have to use nice, it almost demands you use nice, smooth tempo. Don't try and jump on anything, rush on anything. Just let this paddle do what it wants to do. We should do that with all paddles a little bit, but this paddle almost demands it. When you try and rush it or really try and just knock the snot out of the ball, this paddle loses a lot of performance. Most paddles do, but this paddle really does. And I think that goes back to, if you watch my Selkirk Power Air video, the neck flexes and throws the ball a little bit. And this neck does as well. So that may cause some of that lack of performance. But the smoother you swing and the more this nice smooth tempo you have, the better this paddle performs. Now, once again, I'm going to go back to, I'm going to touch on a couple of things it doesn't do well and maybe some adjustments for that. And one thing it doesn't do well at all. Being a control paddle, like I said, it loses a little power. This is not a power paddle. The service numbers were pretty low. You can see I've added some lead tape. I think the next step in that lead tape process is either going to be all four corners or just move some up here at the 12 o'clock position and try and gain some of that power and depth that this paddle doesn't have initially. I believe that will happen with the lead tape, and I think it'll kind of perform a little bit better there. The one thing that this paddle does not do well, if you are a spin enthusiast, this paddle does not spin very much. It does a little, but it doesn't very much. The dwell time is there, but it doesn't have great dwell time, and the surface just doesn't allow for that spin. Everything else it does pretty well. There's parts of your game, if you're a nice smooth tempo person, if you like to control the ball, if you like to be up at the kitchen line, this paddle does a great job. If you're a banger from the baseline, this paddle probably is not going to be from you. It's just performance from that area of the court is just not great. Now, since the Selkirk, and I discussed this a little bit in the intro, I believe, since the Selkirk Project 003 is kind of this paddle's brother, this paddle is softer, it has more dwell time, it's got more spin, it's got a touch more power. This paddle does a lot of things a little bit better than this paddle, and once again, I think I discussed in the intro that it does have a little bit of fiberglass in the face. It's just got a little more power, it is a little softer, it's got more spin, but the Lux performs pretty well too. Another thing, you can see that when I played with the 003, I had lead tape out here at the 12 o'clock position, some down here as well. I kind of think, I do believe that if the Lux, the next stage is putting a little lead tape up there for a little power. This paddle does a lot of cool things. I'm going to go back to my golf background a little bit. If you play with the 003 and already perform well with this paddle, there's no reason to go out and get the Lux. They're just not that much difference in performance. It's kind of like, I'm going to go, like I said, go back to my golf background. If you have a driver from 2022, you don't need to go out and buy a new 2023 driver. There's not that much performance difference at all, if there even is any. But if you're coming from like a Selkirk amped version, this would be worth a try, because I think you're really gonna like this paddle. It does so many things well, and if you're, like I said, if you play up the net, you're gonna love this and love angles and all the things it can do. It's just not a power paddle. So if you're coming from like a 002, this is this is not the paddle. I think this is going to be an extremely popular paddle. We're going to see this a lot out on the courts. It does a lot of things. I'm anxious to hear if you guys have played this paddle. If you played the 003 especially, and then tried the Lux, what you thought. The Selkirk guys that I know played the 003, I really wanted to get this in their hands, and they kind of migrated back to the 003. So I'm anxious to hear you guys' thoughts. If you played both, if you've tried this paddle, what you think. And I just think it's going to be extremely popular, but it's got to fit a certain style of player that just is up closer to the net, and it really is a tempo style player. All right, guys, as always, thank you for stopping by. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. I'm going to come back with new material very soon. Get out and play. It's almost winter. All right, Selkirk LUXX. You're going to be seeing it on the court a lot, I think. All right, guys. No, I've been hitting. That's how I've been hitting right there. Okay. Thanks for the got a Selkirk paddle, a Selkirk net. I feel good.